Well, welcome to part 8 of making a dirndl. Well, in the first 7 parts we completed the whole dirndl, and the best part is today because I get to decorate it. I have this ruching, which I made a long time ago, and this is the kind of thing that can really personalize your dirndl and make it like a one-of-a-kind creation. Well, anyway, today I have to decide whether I want the ruching to end here at the center or go across the zipper and snap on, which is what I think I'm going to do. Lots of different ways you can do it. When we get done putting this on, I've got some silver hooks we're going to put on and then some pretty lacing. Can't wait to get started. Okay, before I get started working with this ruching, I kind of tore it open a little bit, and I'm going to fold the raw edges in like this, and I'm going to hand stitch them. And we're going to start pinning it just a little in from the edge and pin it all the way around, and then this last piece is going to come across and cover it. So I'm going to start pinning right now and just pin it so that the edge of the ruching is going to go right along the edge of the seam here. Now that I've finished pinning on my whole ruffle, I have it so it's going to come across the zipper, which is right here, and it's going to end right where the ruffle pattern continues. So I'm going to start stitching, and I'm going to sew this whole ruffle on, just going right through the front, and I'm not going to cut this extra piece off, because if I cut it off early and it turns out I later need it, it's going to be really hard to fiddle around with it and fix it. So I'm just going to start stitching right here and go all the way around the neckline, stitching the ruffle on, and it should puff up by itself pretty nice after I do that. I'm slowly stitching along the original line where I basted the ruffles in, and I'm just going to go slow, and I pull the pins out as I get to each section. I'm making sure that this edge of the ruffles lined up right along the edge of the double fold bias tape along the neckline. Now, as I'm getting to the end here, the zipper's underneath there, so when I get to the zipper tape, I'm going to go, I'm not going to sew over the zipper teeth. I'm going to go right up to that spot, and I'm going to go backwards, and that'll help to lock it in. I'm going to actually go over and back and forth a few times just to make sure it's really secure, and the whole ruffle's sewn on. Before I decide exactly where to cut off this extra stuff, I'm going to go through with my pink thread and needle, and I'm going to hand sew each of these little puffs up, and then I'll come back and I'll finish off that ending. After just simply basting or sewing the ruffle onto the neckline, it looks like that, and after I've stitched each of the little puffs up, it looks like this. So you can leave it either way. I like it when it's like this, and I've been really careful since I'm using this pink thread to stitch so that all the thread is hidden inside of the pink and it doesn't show anywhere on the black. So all you see is cute little puffs. After I hand stitched all the puffs up, I put 2 snaps here on the back side of the ruffle so that it carries across the zipper, and it blends in pretty well because the ruffle pattern isn't changed at all. So that looks pretty good. Alright, now I'm going to put on my hooks. I put my 4 hooks, each 4 centimeters apart, and over here you can see kind of how I sewed it. I went back and forth this way, and then back and forth this way, and so I anchored it 3 different directions. I used my buttonhole making stitches, and so then that way it wouldn't advance like a zigzag would advance, and I just used that, and that way it's anchored in 3 spots. And I anchored it through 4 layers of fabric plus the rickrack, which should make it really sturdy. And you know, if you have somebody tugging at this with lacing, you want to make sure you don't have it anchored simply into 2 layers of fabric. It just ends up ripping out, and then you end up having to patch it and everything. So it's better just to anchor it through lots of layers of fabric right at the beginning. Well, now that we've got the ruching done, I put some ribbons in here. This looks so beautiful. I've got 2 different colored one lighter and one brighter pink ribbons, and this just really pops. But I also have black ribbon, and gold ribbon, and those look nice too. But you know what? I can't really decide till I get the apron done. So join me for part 9, where I'll take this striped fabric, which was my inspiration for the whole dress. Once we get this apron made of this striped fabric, then we can decide what ribbon will look the best. So join me for part 9 where we make the apron.